I was at West Marine by 8 o'clock this morning. Traded in my semi-gloss for my gloss, picked up some caulking. Awful price. I should have shipped away for it. Anyway, so I spent the entire morning, it's now noon, to the entire morning sanding out the cabin top, and you know, just the whole thing. Everything's been sanded with my random orbital sander, plus you know, hand sanding. Here I've got my solar panel out to recharge my batteries, and I was using 120. I went to 100, and it works a lot better, you know, getting down this old paint. So anyway, I was probably getting an awful glare on this. So anyway, this is where we're at. Everything has been completely sanded. I started taping off my non-skid. This is original non-skid, and I don't want to mess it up. Here, let's get over in the shadow so we can see it better. Okay, I don't want to mess this up. I really like the old look of the old non-skid, and we're going to leave it just like it is. Got the mast step all taped off. I've got after lunch, I'm going to get the windows, port lights taped off. Everything's all set. The eyebrows have been sanded out. The area around where the eyebrows go. Basically, everything is ready. But boy, have I got a lot of sweeping and sanding and acetoning to get everything ready to paint. The scary part of this is, even though everything is now prepped and ready to go, I may have a problem because I'm underneath a pine tree. It is now 91 degrees, and we're starting to get a few drops of pine sap. And then on top of that, what's happening is that we've got a little bit of breeze, and it's blowing some pollen in here. So I don't know. We're gonna have to play it by ear. One of the things I may do is put a tent over the top of this, but if I do, it's going to be some wicked hot inside that tent. You know, trying to paint and do a good job of it. I'm going to be rolling and tipping that whole, you know, whole cabin top, and trying to get it to, you know, get a nice, smooth, clean gloss finish. Anyway, and I'm definitely taping off, and so I'm not doing the entire deck area. I'm just doing the cabin itself and around where the runners have got to go down, and the new entryway yeah, has to go in. So beautiful Cape Cod day, except for one thing. A little too beautiful. It's 93 degrees. You cannot paint in 90+ degree temperatures. So what I've done so far, and this is all I'm going to do for today up on deck, I'm going to paint first thing in the morning when it's about 73 degrees. At that point, early in the morning, I'll be able to get some painting in and get this all done, hopefully. But in the meantime, what I've done is mashed off virtually everything. Port lights are all masked off. I don't know if you can see this in the glare I've got out here. Port lights are all masked off. The edge of the non-skid is all mashed off. All the way around the front of the cabin, and the top is all mashed off. I'm not going to try this over on the other side, and I mean, it's probably going to glare you right out. I mean, it is hot beyond belief on this side of the cabin. It's just, I don't even dare to try to get down on my knees and do the taping off, because it's so stinking hot I'll burn my knees off. Anyway, one thing about it, my battery's getting charged. Anyway, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up behind the house. I've got a whole bunch of work to do back here, back there, and I'll pick it up on the backside and let you guys know what I'm after. So for now, this is as much as I can do here in the intense sunshine with 93 degree temperatures. So here's the verdict. My boat is parked right underneath a pine tree, and it is time for pine pollen season, and it's shedding all these wonderful little green things. Here, let me see if I can focus in on. There they are. Aren't they wonderful? Anyway, so what I've done, I've gone ahead and masked off only the areas I've got to do to get the companionway done. This back part is already painted, every bit of it, and then all along where the runners are going to be, and lo and behold, oh, look at that. some of those wonderful little green things have gotten into the paint. I'm not touching the silly things. The paint has already started to harden, and as soon as everything hardens, then I'll try to get them off and try to get them off without it messing things up any more than it already is. But to have done the entire cabin top and all around the sides just would not have been wise right now. I've got to wait till pollen season is over, then I'll finish it out. But for today, this back part actually came out quite well. I don't have any pine pollen or droppings in it yet, although here in the drain channel I've got a few, but I'm not worried about that. Anyway, so that's it. What I'm going to do now, I've got some paint left over, and so I'm going to get down off from here, and I'm going to paint one of my hatch covers, maybe both of them. But I'm just really glad to at least get this part of it done. The sooner this dries, the sooner I can get on to doing, putting on the accoutrements, the slides, making new uprights for the sides of the companionway, and so on and so forth. So, but that's it for now, and I'm going to move on and try to get the hatch covers done. Thanks, bye. Down in my parents' basement, a much better place to paint. It's now above 90 degrees. The other hatch cover, the forward one that slides, is all finished. I did it outdoors, and it's drying very nicely, so I'm really pleased with that. I mean, it has dried very nicely because of the intensity of the sun, but when it got above 90 degrees, I said, that's it. I'm going to set up down here. The fumes are not too bad, and so I've gotten all set up down here in the basement, and I've got a really nice coat, beautifully rolled and tipped. It ain't perfect, but I'll tell you what, it ain't bad compared to the other one where I was struggling against breezes that were blowing pollen and all kinds of pine stuff all over the place. I mean, this is a huge improvement. So anyway, I'm gonna let this dry down here, just kind of doing things to kill time until everything dries up on deck. And then we're going to start putting things together. Going to start doing the woodwork next. So anyway, step at a time, and a little patience, and it all comes together. Really excited about this. This one, I wish the other one had come out as nice as this, but I may do a second coat on the other one just to spiff it up at a later date. So anyway, thanks for now, and gonna segue into another section after a little while. Bye. All the pine sap and pollen and little pine flowers that fell on this during the drying of the paint, it is now pretty much all dry. It actually came out not too bad. And let me see, this more stuff has fallen on it, but this is going to go away. Well, wait a minute. No, that's a screw hole. Sorry. Anyway, at this point, there's nothing sticking to it, you know, because it's all dry. One of the things my brother mentioned last night, they were over, and he is an avid sailor as I am, and he mentioned giving myself enough wide berth from where the runners are going to be to where when I wanted to paint the rest of the top, I could not have to come anywhere close to putting paint on those nicely sea-tall runners, and he was absolutely right. So here's, I don't know if you can see this, you can see this line of holes right here. This is where the runners go. You can actually see where somebody ground into it for some reason. Anyway, so that's where the runners go, and I gave myself a nice wide berth so I can actually start out here and go down over the sides when I get around to doing the rest of the hull, you know, the rest of the upper side of the boat here. So anyway, but in the meantime, this came out pretty well. I don't have a, you know, it's pretty much all gloss. I did the rolling and tipping, and you know, yeah, it's got some imperfections, but that's partly because of the being an old hull. Anyway, so after lunch, you're going to let this dry a little bit more. After lunch, I'm going to get back out here and start the woodwork. This is now dry enough to where I can go ahead and start cutting my uprights and get everything put into place, and finally get the companionway put back together. I got both of the hatch covers now painted. One of them, as you saw in the last section, one of them is in the basement drying, and boy, that came out nice. The other one is less than perfect, but it's going to be quite adequate. So anyway, we'll back to you after we get pretty much all of this finished up. We'll do one more wrap up after we get this. All right, bye. I have both the slides mounted with caulking underneath and all the screw holes and everything, and then brand new hatch covers are all rolled and tipped and all very nicely painted up and in place. And anyway, so let me just move around here cautiously. I don't want to fall off. Cautiously. Anyway, let me get down here. But I don't have the rest of the companionway done, but this is what it looks like so far. Big improvement, okay. My nicely sea-talled hatch cover handle, 3 coats. I gotta put bungs in it later. But for right now, hey, this is a huge improvement from where we were when I got here. Oh, look at that. See, I mean, I'm barely doing all this, and here's another one of those wonderful little pine buds that are coming off everywhere. Anyway, well, I'm going to be wrapping this up before too long, because we got a thunderstorm coming in tonight, and we're supposed to go out to eat down by the Cape Cod Canal, have supper down at Seafood Sam's. So anyway, this is it for now. If I get the rest of it done, I'll put it on here. If not, hey, big improvement. A lot of work got done this trip, and most of it except for this. I may put the old slats, the old slats back in with the uprights, the old uprights, and for now, and then I'll maybe do the rest of this later. Well, I just spent the last hour cleaning after all the dust from sanding paint and pollen and all the debris from the pine tree. It was massively filthy, and especially below with the hatch wide open, no pieces put back. So this morning I spent an hour just kind of going through everything down below and cleaning and getting everything laid out for the next time I'm down here. But at least that part's done. Top side, it was a little more of a mess. I had, just a lot of pine sap and stuff. While we were away at eating last night, a rainstorm came in, wouldn't you know, with everything. Well, the hatch was closed up, so no water got below. I was really pleased with that. But when I came back, it was such a mess from pine debris. I went ahead and just took a hose to everything and washed it down, and still almost no water below. I had a little bit starboard, but anyway. Getting ready to wrap it up, and I'm going to do one more little segment here with everything put back together and show that, and then I think we're done for this trip. And next time, the eyebrows go on, and the new strips. These have not been done. This is the only thing I did not get to. I've got to put new mahogany trim around the companionway, but that'll get done next time. This trip, everything's all put back together. The hatch covers are on. I don't know if you can see that. Very nicely rolled and tipped, and all my new runners are on. Looking good. This face of the cockpit has been painted. The seats still have to be done. The rest of the cockpit has to be done, and of course the combings will go on later. But anyway, for this trip, not bad. The only thing I didn't get done was right here. I spent the whole morning cleaning below, because it was just a filthy mess after 2 days of sanding decks and paint dust and pollen and all kinds of debris. It was just an awful mess below. So I spent a good deal of time, just an hour this morning, just completely cleaning up and trying to get this thing looking good. But I love it. This got a couple of bungs going into my newly refurbished handle there, but all the pieces that I brought down here pretty much got used, except for, like I said, I didn't get the trim done around the companionway. But anyway, really happy for this trip. Not bad. We'll kind of do some more finishing up next time. Oh, and the eyebrows didn't get done, but made a good start on those too. We'll catch those on the next trip. In the meantime, guys, thanks for coming by. Thanks for watching Restoring Little Girl, and hope you drop by again after when we get further episodes going on this. All right, thanks. Bye.